Today is Phrygian. So Phrygian is the third mode of the major scale. So if we start any major scale on the third degree, we get a Phrygian scale. For example, E Phrygian is the third mode of C major, also known as C Ionian. A Phrygian is the third mode of F major. So if you know all your major scales, you know all your Phrygian scales. You just need to start on the third degree of that major scale. So in step one, we're going to play the major scale and then the related Phrygian scale. A useful variation of this step is to understand where the half steps are in the Phrygian scale and then play all of your Phrygian scales without considering the related major scale at all. The formula for Phrygian is half, whole, 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 half, and then whole, whole. And the scale degrees are 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and flat 7. So here's step 2. Play all Phrygian scales by thinking of where the half steps are and the degrees that you're playing. If we stack notes from the Phrygian scale by thirds, we get a minor 7, flat 9, 11, flat 13 chord. It's important to notice that there are two tensions that create a flat 9 interval with one of the chord tones. E to F is a flat 9, and B to C is also a flat 9. And in a tonal context, we want to avoid these two tensions because that flat 9 is extremely dissonant. And this is not a dominant chord, so we don't want that kind of dissonance here. But in modal harmony, we can actually take great advantage of these tensions in order to bring out the Phrygian sound. Okay, so where can we use the Phrygian scale? Of course, this scale is one we want to use on a 3 minor chord. The 3 minor chord is pretty ambiguous. Sometimes it acts as a tonic chord and sometimes it acts as a dominant chord. That's why it lives in this island in between the two regions in Mapping Tonal Harmony Pro. There are two great uses of the 3 minor chord in harmony. One is as a passing chord and the other is as part of a 3-6-2-5-1 progression. As a passing chord, it's used in a 1-2-3-4 progression like this. And in a 3-6-2-5-1, you have a complete progression that follows the circle of fifths using diatonic chords. But there's a great reharm of this 3-6-2-5-1, which uses the flat 3 passing diminished to connect the 3 minor to the 2 minor chord like this. So in step 3, we're going to practice these two uses of the 3 minor chord and the Phrygian scale. But the Phrygian mode really shines in a modal context. In this case, we need to make sure to make use of the flat 9 and the flat 13, especially the flat 9, because these are the characteristic notes in Phrygian. In Dorian and Aeolian, the ninth is a major ninth, but in Phrygian, it's a flat 9. Also, the 2 chord in Phrygian is a flat 2 major chord. Remember, the 2 chord gives us all the tensions in a chord, so it's an important upper structure to use. In step 5, we're going to make use of the same concept, but this time we're going to use some interesting voicings and lines. Notice how we're using sus chords, the flat 2 chord here together with the root, altered chordal voicings, and at the end, a very peculiar voicing or inversion of that altered chordal.